Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another round of Mind Your Fucking Business with your host, Jeffrey Princeton.
Thank you, Dougie Sticks, from the beautiful studios of Undefeated Media here in Bergen County, New Jersey. This is the Mind Your Fucking Business podcast brought to you by our good friends at the Bamboozle Project as well as DraftKings. Go to thebamboozleproject.com. Go check off all the stuff you want, but most importantly, when you go to checkout, enter the magical 4 letters, MYPB, and 20% magically disappears off your order. And there is like change of season stuff on that site. I actually was on it the other day. There's stuff if you want to try to prolong your summer and you want summer gear, if you're ready for winter, and the hats and the stuff that they sell on the site, they're all there for you. So you can pick whatever season you are into. We thank DraftKings as well. This is episode 202, Dos Cientos Dos on the Spanish dial. So if you're joining using the SAP features available to you today or whenever you're listening to the show, we welcome you. And we are taping this show, just so you know, it is Wednesday, September 24th. So if you are tuning in and you want to know where we are in time, it is September 24th. You can send us your questions at any time at Mind Your Fucking Business on Instagram. Again, we have a cardinal rule here. Some days I regret it, and that is that we answer every DM. So if you want to speak with us, you can speak with us. I promise you, you will get a response. You can watch the show live this morning on Instagram Live as well as YouTube, and you can stream it at any time on Spotify as well as iTunes.
We have some great comments flooding in right now. We got a long-time listener, first-time commenter,
Ed Maturko. Yes, Ed Maturko. I know. Now, Ed Maturko is going.
He's been quiet for so long.
Well, he's been quiet. He is actually interesting. He is a Tampa Bay Lightning fan.
Wow.
So maybe we will cover the Lightning. I don't know about today, but I'm sure at some point. Or convert him. Nah, I don't think we're going to be able to convert him, but we'll try. We'll try our best at it. All right. So it's good to have actually live preseason hockey back. Whether you are a believer that preseason matters or not, I'll leave that up to you. It does matter, but to me, it never matters in wins and losses. I could really care less. Sunday at the Devils. So here's what happens, and I'm guilty of this every single year. Whatever the first preseason game is, right? It's marked off. So like last year, if I remember, they were in Boston on a Sunday at 5. This year, they were at the Devils on a Sunday afternoon. When you have your first chance to watch hockey live, you almost that first like 10 minutes or the first period, you don't care that it's preseason. You just want to watch hockey. And that's what you get. But I'm going to be honest, when you saw the lineup that the Rangers were sending to Newark on Sunday, I mean, how in the world could you have been excited? I think the best player in the lineup was either Matt Rempe or Gabe Perreault. Wow. I mean, that should be
no brainer. It was Matt Rempe, no brainer.
No brainer.
That's awesome.
If you want to do like some analysis, because you guys were asking for it and you were asking for the post-game recaps, which I'm not doing for preseason games, I'm sorry, because the whole point of post-game recap is I force myself to like record it in the moment and the emotions of the moment. There's no emotions in preseason. I could care less if they win or lose. So if you want to look at some of the stuff with Sunday, here's what I would say. You like that Gabe Perreault scored early. Gabe Perreault also scored last night. We'll get to that in a minute. It is not Gabe's fault because I'm sure someone's going to be commenting. I'm not going to mention names momentarily that the other team is dressing AHL level players, and that is 100% true. But Gabe Perreault doesn't control who the other team dresses. He's doing his job and scoring whoever is there. I also on Sunday, now I also didn't see the game. I saw the first period, and then I got so annoyed by just watching postseason hockey because it was sloppy. I left and went to my daughter's soccer game. I didn't even watch it. But you would think that the Rangers won the cup in the second period with the amount of DMs I was getting about Matt Rempe. You hate Rempe. He drove to the net. It set up a goal. I think it might have been, I don't know. I don't even know who scored the goal on that one, but I know Rempe drove to the net. Look, it's good. Here's my thing with Matt Rempe, and I want to like clarify this as we get into the season. I don't like Matt Rempe, right? I don't think he's that good. Last night we were at the Garden. We were waiting to go in. There's Matt Rempe jerseys for sale. I don't understand it. I said to my daughter when we were walking on 8th Avenue, there was a woman in front of us in a Matt Rempe t-shirt. Why would you even spend the money on it? I'm not a Matt Rempe guy. However, and I want to clarify this very loud and clear. The second somebody puts on a Ranger jersey, I cheer for their success. I'm never cheering against Matt Rempe when he's out there. I'd like Matt Rempe to go out and prove me wrong. I would like Matt Rempe to go out and have 60 goals this season, which is not going to happen. But I cheer for his success. The second somebody puts on a Ranger jersey, I am a fan. If Sidney Crosby, who I hate, like I literally hate, came to the Rangers, I'd be a fan. I'll give you the best example of this. And a lot of you that watch us and listen to us are younger, so you may not even know who this player is. But Scott Gomez used to play for the Devils, B-Rock's Devils.
Mm-hmm.
And on a Sunday, and I want to say it was 2007. I'm pretty sure I'm right about this, but someone can fact check me if you want. Free agency started on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And the Rangers at 12 o'clock had done nothing. And then at like 5 o'clock, out of nowhere, I should say out of nowhere, it was rumored. The Rangers announced within like 20 minutes of each other. Chris Drury was coming to the Rangers from Buffalo, who's now, of course, the GM of the Rangers. And then 20 minutes later, they signed Scott Gomez from the Devils. I was so excited. Now, I never drink, right? Like, I can't even tell you the last time I had a beer. This was a Sunday. Jess and I, we were engaged at the time. We were living in a townhouse.
Mm-hmm.
I went out and bought Sam Summers because I was so excited to show you as an illustration. The second you come on my team, I am your supporter. I will root for Matt Rempe, but I don't think he is any good. Okay? At all. So I just want to clarify that. Now, last night, I want to tell you a kind of a personal story what happened. I had mentioned last week, and I appreciate you guys that reached out, that, you know, I'm dealing with some stuff and all this stuff. My son broke his leg, and for the foreseeable future, which hopefully is not that long, his way of getting around is a wheelchair, right? So we decided to go to the game last night. We originally were going to go before this happened, and then when this happened, I said, there's no way like I'm dealing with a wheelchair in the Garden for a preseason game. And then I had a change of heart and said, you know what, the kid needs to get out of the house. Like, he needs to get out of the four walls. We're going to go. The Rangers did like the greatest thing ever last night and they upgraded us into the Madison Club, which is, I mean, like, I don't know that I'll ever want to sit in my seats again. We'll post later today a reel or a video of some of the stuff and the food that's in there. I should be arrested for the amount of pecan tarts I ate last night from Madison Square Garden. I mean, the over-under might be 13.5 with the over winning. It was, I have to thank the Rangers for my kids' sake, particularly my son. Like, we ate like kings. I've never sat in anything like this. It was just incredible. So last night, again, if you want to analyze a preseason game, also with the Bruins last night, I don't think I recognized a single player on the team. Like, even their goalies. I didn't think Swayman would play for them. It's a day trip to New York. I didn't think they were going to even send him. They didn't. I didn't recognize a single person last night on the Bruins. Gabe Perreault, again, to me, and again, I'm going to get hate in the chat for saying this, but I'm going to be honest. Gabe Perreault, I thought, was really good again last night. Is he playing against lower level competition because the Bruins basically dressed their Providence Bruin roster last night? Sure, they did. But I will tell you, there was a play in the first period, and if you watch the game, I'm sure you saw this because I was there, where two Ranger defensemen literally fell over each other. And that is your reminder, I thought immediately, like, this is preseason hockey at its finest, right? You have a situation where guys can't skate. There's no communication between each other. So we left. It was 4-1 Rangers after the second. At that point, knowing that we had to get my son out of the Garden in a wheelchair, which is not an easy process. It's a preseason game that doesn't matter. We're going to leave. Now, we left, and my daughter is telling me from the back seat, well, the Bruins have made it 4-3. Now they made it 4-4. I don't care about preseason hockey results. Would I like my team to win if I had a choice? Sure. But do I care? No. I don't. Those last night that watched, and I did go back and I watched part of it, although it was not easy to find because it was a preseason game. Most of the guys last night that played are not going to be here in 2 weeks anyway. So it doesn't. I don't care if you look at this guy had a defensive lapse in the third period. They're probably not here in 2 weeks. They're playing in Hartford. What did stand out to me last night from being in the arena was, and I don't know, and you guys can tell me if this was on the TV because I obviously was at the game, but there were a couple like in arena videos with interviews with the players, and Gavrikov was one of them. I think the other one might have been Fox, actually, But they were talking about how Mike Sullivan is trying to change the culture. They kept talking about changing the culture.
Mhm.
And that is, again, knowing what you went through last year has got to be priority number one. Because if the culture doesn't change, I don't care how good Gabe Perreault is. I don't care how good Artemi Panarin is. I don't care how good JT Miller is. It won't matter. If the culture doesn't change and the black cloud that hangs over this team doesn't change, it doesn't matter. None of it will matter. Panarin can score 100,000 goals. It won't matter. So they've got to change the culture. And I did like that what they said last night was very consistent in the player interviews with Sullivan coming in and trying to change the culture. Now, Mike Sullivan also said after the game when he was asked, well, hey, how'd you guys blow a 3-goal lead in the third period? He said it's a good learning experience for the group, which it is. But again, that group last night is not going to be here. My son was annoyed last night driving into the city when I told him the lineup. He was like, Dad, where's Panarin? Where's Vinnycek? Where's JT Miller? He even asked where Lafreniere is. Right? They didn't dress these guys. Igor Shesterkin, who looked good, played a minute, a period and a half, and then some guy came in that you won't even see the rest of the year, which is why they let up 3 goals. So you kind of like, I know people were annoyed last night, but I was a little confused by it, and we had to put up the story that we put up because it doesn't really matter. Last thing I want to say before we get to our guest, one thing that came out, and we did a post, and I think there was a lot of engagement with, so it was important, was Mike Sullivan had said I believe it was over the weekend, that he imagines Will Cooley getting top 6 minutes. The answer, because we put it out there as a question, like, are you okay with it? The answer is you have to be okay with it, because what are the other options, right, other than that? Now, it did also come out yesterday that on the top line, if you want to consider it your top line, you have JT Miller in the center and Mika on the right. They're now trying out Alexis Lafreniere on the left side of that line, as opposed to probably what would have been the other most likely candidate, which would, of course, be Will Cooley. If it's me, I've got to get Lafreniere going. I don't know how many times you're going to hear me say in the next 3 weeks as we preview the season how important this year is for Lafreniere. Lafreniere could go back to his natural position, which is the left wing, which is what, he is a lefty. He was playing on the right the last few years alongside Trocheck and Panarin. Get him back to his natural position, put him alongside Mika and Miller. He should be getting opportunities if he's matched up with those guys as his line mates. I have zero problem with that at all. As a matter of fact, and I always say this here, lines are never set in stone. You can change lines anytime, as the Rangers will show you last year. Particularly, you can even change lines during the game. Man, start me with Lafreniere with Miller and Mika, and let's roll with that. And then put Cooley with Panarin and Trocheck. See where you go. Yeah. I've got no problem. But we'll put up Scott's comment. Sorry to hear about your son, Jeff, but I was going to see Trey Fix, Walensky, and Jackson Dorrington. Yeah. So Walensky scored last night at the goal actually in front of the Madison Club where we were sitting. Mm-hmm. I had no idea who he was when he scored. I missed Joe Tolleson announce the goal. And then my daughter asked me like 5 minutes later, who scored the goal? And I said, Abby, I still have no idea. I have no idea who that guy is. And that's just preseason hockey, right? You have no idea who these guys are. Now they play the Islanders tomorrow at home. Somewhere here, the regulars are going to get in games. And I would think it's tomorrow night. They're not going to send them next Saturday to Boston. So you really only have 3 games left where these regulars are going to play 2 of the 3. One would be tomorrow at home versus the Islanders. They're at the Islanders on Monday, and then they're home versus the Devils next Thursday. I would almost guarantee you that 2 of those 3 games you're going to see the players like Panarin and JT Miller, and none of them will, or very few of them will go to Boston for that last preseason game on that Saturday.
Is Tyler the Pirate going to go to the game tomorrow?
My son?
Yeah.
No, we're done. We're done. Preseason, I do one.
You let him have one. All right.
I do one at most, and also like getting him around in a wheelchair is a lot. I mean, it's a lot of work. So, yeah, no. All right, shifting gears. I want to bring in our guest. One of the things over the summer, as we're all sitting here, like dying for hockey to start, which it's a long off season, by the way, when your season ends in April, as a Ranger fan, as we all know. Mm-hmm. One of the things you like is you like to see posts and signs that it's coming back. And OvertimeChicks, we promote them a lot around here. It's a great site. They've got great content. but they also have really good videos. And we're going to talk about one of their takes, and we're going to bring in one of their co-hosts right now, and that is Emma Alberti. So let's bring her in if we can with the magic of technology. How are you, Emma?
Good. How are you? Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you perfectly. Yeah, thank you very much. So thank you for joining us. Let me start here. If you go to their Instagram page, and again, we strongly recommend you will. We'll plug them later today. They had a really good debate last week, and it struck a chord with me as a Ranger fan. Henrik Lundqvist is one of the greatest athletes all time in any sport to never win a cup, right? And it's unfortunate as Ranger fans that we went through this. We saw this firsthand. You guys had a take last week or a debate. Is Connor McDavid really going down that road also, where he's going to end his career as an all-time great without what he's chasing, a Stanley Cup? Do you think, Emma, at the end of the day, maybe 10, 15 years from now, when Connor McDavid hangs up his skates, is he going to have a Stanley Cup?
I think he will have a Stanley Cup. I don't think he'll have one with the Oilers, but as of right now, it really seems like he's going to stick with them. But I don't think that he's going to win with the Oilers just because I think it's very top heavy. Like him and Draisaitl aren't going to save the team, just them two. So I don't see him winning a cup with the Oilers at least.
Yeah, it seems and I guess it's easier said than done. If you're trying to fix the problem, if you're the GM in Edmonton, it's always goaltending, right? I mean, goaltending wins in the playoffs 99 out of 100 years,
100%.
and they seem to fail all the time with goaltending. They certainly have the offensive capabilities with the two you mentioned, McDavid and Draisaitl, but they just cannot score. It would be unfortunate for him if he does end his career without a cup, because he would almost in some ways be very similar to Henrik Lundqvist, who for years was this elite goaltender here, did everything he could do every single game, but never got to leave New York with a Stanley Cup. I know one of the teams you cover is Detroit. And while we don't cover Detroit a lot here, we are very familiar with one player on Detroit, particularly the last few years, and that is Patrick Kane. Patrick Kane, when he came to the Rangers as a rental in 2023 and then left to go to Detroit, we then heard Patrick Kane rumored again, I believe it was last offseason, about possibly coming back to New York. He just seems to always come up here, right? You see Patrick Kane, I feel like he's played now in the league for 35 years, which obviously is a gross overestimation. Is he still talented? Like, give me the lowdown on Patrick Kane.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a beast. I think he's awesome. I think he's still very talented. Obviously, as he's getting older, some of the younger players, they'll start being faster and, be a little bit more intricate with their stick handling and stuff. But I still think he's an amazing player. He's still able to set up the teammates really well and stuff. But, he's starting to get old and, slower and stuff. So, but I think he still is a great goal scorer and he's great with giving assists and stuff. But again, he is getting older. So
what is and again, I don't follow Detroit that much. I do know they hired Todd McClellan. They went through a coaching change. They still have some young talent there. Do you think that they will make the playoffs this year?
Oh, I don't know. This is where I'm a little iffy about it. I mean, I think they'll make it barely. I think they'll be a wild card, honestly. And I think they're going to do everything in their power to be able to get it. Like 2 years ago, I remember they won against the Capitals, but then the Capitals beat, I think it was, who was John Tortorella coaching? Was it before
Columbus? Well, it would have been Columbus or the Flyers.
Okay, then it was the Flyers. Then I don't know. Then I don't know. There's a whole thing that happened, and then Detroit ended up not being able to make the playoffs because the Capitals beat Philly or another team. So, I mean, I think that they'll make it to the first round at least. I think it'll be really, really close, though. honestly. They just have to do the right things, and someone kind of needs to step up to be the leader. I know Dylan Larkin we have, but I just think he needs to be more of a leader and really get these boys into
Get them
shape
going.
and stuff. Yeah.
So when growing up in the 90s, which was one of the heydays of the Red Wings, right? They had Yzerman,
Oh,
Fedorov, Lidstrom, Datsuk, Osgood in goal, Hasek in goal. I mean, they were legit. And you would always refer to Detroit, who is an original six franchise, by the way. You would always refer to that team as Hockey Town. They were always known as Hockey Town and Joe
Yeah.
Louis Arena. When you go to games there now, 25 years after that time, is it still hockey centric there? Is it still like intense, or is it has it
Yeah,
cooled off?
it's still very intense. Everyone around here is so surrounded by hockey. I mean, for me, for example, I never played hockey. My dad plays a little bit, my brother plays a little bit, but just because I grew up surrounded by it, it kind of pushed me to go in that direction. So I think hockey is still huge around here. There's hockey everywhere. People train here, and yeah, I mean, we have University of Michigan too. So, I mean, I still think it's Hockey Town. The fans are great. It's still really loud in the arena and stuff. So,
Got it. All right. So I'm curious your answer on this. We know, or at least we think we know what went wrong with the Rangers last year. 2 years ago, they win the President's Trophy. They're the best team in the league. They get to the Eastern Conference Finals and fall in 6 games to the Panthers. Last year was an atrocious year, right? I mean, a drop off of monumental proportions. What do you think, like, as an outsider, if I said to you, look, you're not in the forest with us, right? The saying, like, sometimes you're in the forest to see the trees. From an outsider perspective, someone who doesn't live it, what do you think went wrong with the Rangers last year?
gosh, I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of it, honestly. I mean, I know they just got Mike Sullivan as a new coach, and I think that'll help. I think some of it was coaching, some of it was play. Just, I think it was a lot of things. Everyone was just a little slow. And then I don't know. I just think I don't know exactly what went wrong, but I just think it's crazy that they won the Presidential Cup. And then right, it was the Presidential Cup.
President's Trophy. Yep.
Yeah, and then they don't even make playoffs this past year, and I just was in awe. So,
Yeah. Bizarre, a crazy drop off. All right. Going now to this year, because we can't change the past, unfortunately. But maybe we can control the future. The NHL season kicks off in 13 days, thankfully. Then it's officially back, and we can stop with this preseason rostered nonsense that drives me nuts every year. You know way more about the Western Conference than we do. Who do you think? Let me ask you 2 questions. Who do you think wins the Western Conference in the end? But then also give me a sleeper team in the West that isn't the Dallas, the Colorados of the world, that you think could actually be a dark horse candidate.
gosh. So, I mean, I literally wrote down dark horses, Colorado or Dallas. So I need to think about this one. But I think Edmonton is going to win the Western Conference, and then also Eastern. I think Florida's going to win the Eastern. So I think it's going to be the same matchup again this year. But also, I know you said not to say Dallas, but I really think Dallas might win the cup this year, like the Stanley Cup. I mean, they have such great players, and they're fast. They have young players, and they also have the veterans too. But I think it's going to be Edmonton or Dallas, honestly. I mean, I don't know who else would win.
Yeah, right now, one of the saving graces of being a Ranger fan, and there's not a lot of them, is that the Western Conference is so much better than the East. I mean, it really is. And I'm pretty sure the NBA is like that as well right now, where the West reigns supreme. So whatever team does get out of the West, if it's Edmonton, like you're predicting, is going to have a real battle. I mean, you look at last year, you had Colorado and Dallas playing in the first round. Those 2 teams were both good enough to win the cup. And because they had to play each other in the first round, one of them has to leave, is done in the first round. So the West is just brutally hard. Well, we thank you for coming on, Emma. You can come on and see us anytime in the future. Again, that is Overtime Chicks. If you're on Instagram, and I know most of you are, I strongly recommend you give them a follow. Their content is great. It will get you geared up for hockey. They are certainly one of the better sites at doing that, and that is Emma Alberti. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You got it. We will talk to you soon.
Yep.
So we are, I had to actually just do the math quickly when we were talking, 13 days away from the home opener. And the Rangers schedule, this is something we're going to talk about next week because a lot of you guys have been asking for predictions, how far the Rangers are going to go, are they going to make the playoffs? And I've intentionally not said anything, but I mean, I know what I'm going to say. That will be next week.
Holding out on us.
That will be next week. And I will say it next week. But one thing I will say, not that this is super important, when you look at the Rangers' first 3 games, all right, you have Pittsburgh at home, then you go to Buffalo, and then you go back to Pittsburgh. You're playing right out of the gate, probably the 2 worst teams in the Eastern Conference. That doesn't mean
build that confidence, baby.
That doesn't mean you need to go 3-0 and you need to get 6 points, although you should. And it also doesn't mean that if you got 1 point of those 6 games, the season's over and they're not good. Because remember last year, the Rangers were on a roll. They swept that road trip in November with the original 6 road trip, which I think it was Toronto, Detroit, and maybe Montreal. So the Rangers started well and then it all fell apart. So you can't put too much stock in the beginning.
True.
But when you have a new coach, you're playing your 3 first games against 2 teams that are just atrocious, that are going to be in the lottery for the first pick, or what McKenna, I think his name is, the kid that committed to Penn State. You've got to be in a position where you come out right away.
Come on, swinging.
Because I will actually be there the night after that second Pittsburgh game. They play the Caps at home, where I'm planning on going. I will be there for that game. What would be very annoying, would be if they started off bad in those first 3 games. Now, Guardo brings up a good point, and it's something I had said earlier in the show, if you want to pull it up, Doug, and that is the bottom point, and that is if the team hired Mike Sullivan and they want to discuss culture, then the start should be dominant. That is spot on. That is dominant might be too strong of a word. Like, they don't need to be dominant. I mean, if they want to be, that's fine with me. I ain't going to be complaining. But they've got to come out and be ready, right? You're also playing 2 of those games are against Pittsburgh, who hired a coach in Dan Muse, who we all know because he was an assistant coach last year with the Rangers, who has 0 head coaching experience, I think, at any level. And it seems to me, and I know this is going to sound rude, that people in the NHL world, I'm not mentioning names, I'm not going to do that, were like befuddled when that guy got a head coaching job. So you're going up against the guy who has no coaching experience, probably shouldn't have that job, and the roster's terrible. Guess what? Find a way and win and come out with a strong start. And we are just 13 days away from that now.
Oh, yeah.
So tomorrow, again, they are home against the Islanders. Then they go at UBS Arena on Monday, home against the Devils on Thursday, and then they'll conclude their preseason up in Boston the following Saturday.
Let's go.
We are getting
it in the air.
We are getting close. You know how you know it's getting close?
Your joints start to hurt. The weather starts to get colder. It starts to rain.
Nope. You know it's getting close when my daughter finds it comical how many DMs come in a day. You know you're getting close.
You should put her to work.
I should.
Get a burner phone so she can help you chime in.
Yes, she could. She could handle it. She could handle it. All right. So, shifting gears to football. I like to put in where we do that so that those of you that want to bounce, you're not surprised by it.
You're not held captive.
But you got 29 minutes and 10 seconds of hockey. You'll survive with 10 minutes of football.
Yeah.
The New York Giants. You could start. Well, actually, a timeout. Let's start with a positive. The one, and there's not a lot. I'm going to give you something to smile. Did you see? I'm sure you did. The interception, the Jets return to the touchdown.
Yes.
And
the block field goal, you mean?
Yeah, when Aaron Glenn is running down the sideline dancing. That will be the highlight of New York football for the season. And now yesterday, the Giants announced that they are going to give the ball this weekend to Jackson Dart.
Yeah. First start against
Against-
a top 10 defense.
Against an undefeated team, which I need to check on something because that game is in one of my the Giant Charger game is in there.
Mhm.
I got to make sure that the spread hasn't changed because they
it could
made
have.
right. I don't know
Maybe.
why I didn't think to do that. Let's look real quick. So I had
Did
it.
you lock it in?
No. It's with you here. Oh, it did
Ah.
actually. It did change in favor of the Giants. The Giants
Wow.
were +6. They're now plus. I'm sorry, they were +6.5. They're now +6. So people are banking on,
But that doesn't
Jackson
help
Dart.
your bet.
and that New York Ranger girl. I'm going to go back to hockey for a second because she's mentioning food that I didn't even mention last night. The first daily burger of the season.
Wow.
By the way, that Madison Club has unlimited daily burgers. There's like it's just yes. And my daughter, who we're talking about,
Yeah.
who can be somewhat of a picky eater, had her first daily burger last night. And she was like, "What is this?" That's how good it is. So,
Wow.
all right. So back to football. The Giants.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, I'm not a football guy. Most people won't need to tell you I'm not even a hockey guy. I'm fooling y'all. But what? I don't know. Are you going Sunday?
I don't know.
You haven't been to
I
any
haven't
game.
been to a game yet.
So
This
you
might be
haven't.
the first one. They're saying he's the next coming of Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I might have to make an appearance at his.
So
first
you
game. To
haven't-
say I went to his first game.
So you haven't made your hottie toddies at all this
Not
season.
yet.
then?
Well, it's been the same.
It's also been warm.
It's been warm. It's been warm.
But if you wait
Yeah.
for either of these teams for cold weather, you're going to be the only one there in November. I can't imagine.
A lot of toddies left over.
I thought about possibly getting Jet season tickets this year.
Yeah.
It crossed my mind.
Mhm.
Not that I would ever go.
Yeah.
So I'll leave that to your imagination. I will leave it at that. But I would have never gone. But it looked like possibly would have been a decent thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very happy I did it. And the Jets now call me, or they don't call me. They email me at least 3 times a week.
Of course.
And they don't understand, like, you're trying to now sell a product that is just atrocious. I'm not responding. Move on to the next guy or gal.
And the crazy part is, it's like supply and demand, right? You would think that they would like give you a discount or like bribe you. You know, they give you something. They're top prices.
Now, Ed, who's in the comments, Ed Maturko, and you can pull up his comments, sit next to me. Ed is Ed is a season ticket holder for the Jets. I believe, well, actually, no, he wouldn't have gone this past weekend because he missed his hockey game with me on Sunday, but the Jets were in Tampa. So he wouldn't have been at the Jets game. I don't know, like if I'm Ed or if I'm a Jets season ticket or either one, really doesn't matter. What motivation do I have to go? And if your motivation is to tailgate, which I can understand, right? Like you want to go do that whole experience, that's fine, but you don't have to go in the stadium. You can also just go.
Yeah, you can have a barbecue,
tailgate, tailgate, and either leave, or you could just watch. I mean, I think there's some people there that just stay in the parking lot.
True.
The Jets.
So you don't want to go into the stadium?
Me?
Yeah.
If I was there, I would go into the stadium. What I'm saying is if someone made the argument, hey, the team is that bad,
then you're not going.
I want to just stay in the parking lot, I would be fine.
Okay.
Now, Guardo's point, which is the Jets may be 0-3, but they are making small steps. The Jets, the first week versus Pittsburgh, lost on a 60-yard field goal. It's typical Jets, right? But it does show you that they were in position to win that game against the Steelers, who were 2-1.
I want to see something.
And they certainly were in position this past weekend to win in Tampa and didn't. So they're 0-3, but they could be a little bit better with the record. Would be fair if they were. The Giants, on the other hand, the first game at the Commanders, they were awful. They were awful the other night. If you want to tell me they should have beat Dallas week 2, that's okay. But Dallas isn't good to begin with. Dallas just got that Caleb Williams run over. You're looking at me like you want to say something.
I have a fun fact.
Okay. Yes.
So we what's our coach's name for the Jets?
Aaron Glenn.
Aaron Glenn. We got him. He was the defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions.
Correct.
So fun fact.
Mm-hmm.
We all like Dan Campbell, right?
Yes.
Dan Campbell in his first 3 games as the head coach for the Detroit Lions, they lost all 3 of those games.
Okay. Well, hey,
and now
I mean,
you see how
if
that
you-
panned out. I mean, they cut from the same cloth. They're.
I don't.
You don't see what I'm putting down?
No, I see what you're putting down. I'm not sure that I'm buying it.
You're
I
not
would
buying it?
like you to be right.
We all know the Jets are like cursed, but small steps in the right direction.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if that's gonna make you feel better, that's fine. The Giants this weekend, so their game is in the pick'em, so I don't need to pick it aside. But we always pick the New York game, so we have to do the Jets Dolphin game, even though it's not in our five picks. The Jets are Monday Night Football. Man, who has Monday Night Football? B-Rock, ESPN. You've got to be kicking yourself. You have the Jets at Dolphins on Monday Night Football. That is atrocious. The Jets are getting
This
3
would be
points.
a fair fight.
The Jets are getting 3 points. You know what? I'm taking the Jets. Monday night in Miami.
Yeah.
The Dolphins are mighty. The Dolphins are worse.
Yeah.
Guardo's prediction: the Jets 4, Dolphins 4. It ends in a tie. So 2 safeties.
2 safeties.
It wouldn't be surprising to me. Nothing would be surprising. All right, last week's pick. What an annoying week. We had an incredible week the week before, going 4-1, and we reversed it and went 1-4. We had the Bills minus 12.5 on Thursday night versus the Dolphins. They won by 10. We had the Bucks minus 7 at home versus the Jets. If they hit that field goal and it's not blocked, we would have hit that. We had the Patriots plus 1.5 at home versus the Steelers. That didn't hit. This one we were so far off, it was embarrassing. We had the Cowboys minus half a point at the Bears. Caleb Williams basically, I don't know what happened that game. And the one that we had right was the one that we probably would have liked to have wrong, and that was the Chiefs minus 6 at the Giants when they won 23-9. So let's go into week 4. I like the Steelers plus 2.5 at home versus the Vikings. I think the Vikings are getting some love here because they absolutely manhandled Cincinnati last week. And Cincinnati's not good. They don't have Joe Burrow. Mm-hmm. So I got the Steelers at home. That New York Ranger girl will like that if she's still watching. I saw her in the comments before. Give me the Steelers plus 2.5 at home versus the Vikings. The Giants. Can it get worse? I'm taking them plus 6 at home versus the Chargers.
Wow,
I don't know why.
Them.
The Chargers are undefeated. The Chargers have not been dominant, though. They have to come across the country. Something has to turn at some point. And I'm getting a 6-point cushion. I'm taking the Giants plus 6 at home versus the Chargers. Lions minus 8.5 at home versus the Browns. The Lions showed you there for real going into Baltimore the other night and winning. The Browns are not good. Forget what happened in the Green Bay game. 8.5 is a touchdown and then a 1.5. Give me the Lions minus 8.5 at home versus the Browns. The 49ers minus 3 at home versus Jacksonville. I understand the 49ers are undefeated and they have not been dominant or looked amazing, but Jacksonville's terrible. They got to come across the country, and all I got to do is cover with a field goal. Give me the 49ers minus 3 at home versus Jacksonville. The last game, I'm taking the Cowboys plus 7 at home versus the Packers. I don't think CeeDee Lamb is playing. Cowboys are banged up. The Packers just lost in Cleveland. That's a lot of points for a home team in a game like that, Cowboys-Packers. I don't necessarily know that the Cowboys will win, but they should be able to keep it close. They can't get blown out at home. So give me the Cowboys plus 7 at home versus the Packers. So to recap, Steelers plus 2.5 at home versus the Vikings, Giants plus 6 at home versus the Chargers, Lions minus 8.5 at home versus the Browns, 49ers minus 3 at home versus Jacksonville, and the Cowboys plus 7 at home versus Green Bay.
I like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Jets don't play?
The Jets are Monday night. But I took them on the side.
Yeah.
On the side.
Yeah,
Monday Night Football. There is, and they're saying in the comments, and they're right. Now, people are saying in the comments,
yes,
I'm going to bring it up. My wife, as we know, likes the Buffalo Bills because she went to school up there. And a lot of her, that's right. You went to SUNY Buffalo, right?
Same thing.
Would you say, so my observation is when she deals with or talks to, or we see her college friends who are like, from there, that fan base, I think you could argue might be the best fan base in the NFL. They're loyal, they're crazy, they're nuts. At some point, I'd like to think this is true in life, and if it's true in life, it'll work with the Rangers too.
Yeah.
At some point, they have to win. They have Josh Allen. I know you guys are all saying that this is the year they're going to win, but people have been saying that for such a long time. I don't know. Like, if it doesn't happen this year, because Kansas City has showed you they're not Kansas City, and Kansas City is the team that always stops them, except one year I think Baltimore did. But Baltimore just lost at home the other night to Detroit. Baltimore doesn't look amazing.
The Bills beat the Ravens too.
Oh, right. They played. Yeah, that game. I forgot about that. Week 1. So they actually already, if they end up tied, own the tiebreaker for home field. And
the place will go nuts.
But you also know that the environment in terms of the climate is a massive in Buffalo in January.
Yeah.
You play that game in Buffalo, right? Or you go out to, let's say, you go out to the Chargers and you play the AFC Championship game in California weather. It's way more of an advantage for the Bills to be home in Buffalo than it would ever be for the Chargers to be in California.
Yeah.
So if you can get that, I mean, I'm going to be now rooting for the Bills. I'd like my wife to win a championship because none of my teams are going to ever get me one. And we don't cover, you know what? I almost just went down the road. I almost went down the road. We're not going to cover baseball. But I was going to say the Yankees got in last night, so we have that next week. All right. Rangers tomorrow night at home versus the Islanders. At the Islanders on Monday. We are back on Wednesday, and that will be actually most likely what you guys have been asking in the preview show. I thought about doing it the following week. The problem is the Rangers start the night before on Tuesday. Could you do the season preview after they played one game? Yeah, you definitely could. Like it wouldn't, but I just feel a little uncomfortable with it. So I think we're going to do it next week. We'll give our Ranger predictions next week.
I like it.
You may want to buckle up.
Buckle up, baby.
Like, or depending where depending, Alvin says that at least he made it as we're almost done. Yeah, season preview is next week, Gordo. We might have a special guest next week. I'm not going to say who it is, but you all know this person well. He's coming on at some point in the next few weeks. It might be next week. But I was going to say, if you're watching us from Europe, like I know some people do, and you're already at like 3 p.m. when we do the season preview show, if you want to have like a drink in your hand, you may want to.
Wow. It's going to be like that.
I'm not saying that being that it's bad, because I don't think, I mean, look, it can't be as bad as last year, but I do think that I'm going to be brutally honest with a lot of things.
I like it.
And Paul's comment, the Rangers probably will be battling Detroit for the final playoff spot.
Ooh.
So what he would be saying there in that scenario is if you're battling Detroit, it's another division, so it has to be for the wild card. We're not that far off, Paul. In kind of, I think what we think. I'm just saying we're not that far off. Now you don't know if you're far off where like you're not making it or you're more comfortably making it, but we're not that far off. And as Allie says, that New York Ranger girl, after rock bottom, there's nowhere to go but up. Now last night, Allie was down in Dallas. I guess the Dallas Stars had a preseason game and was down there. I was in Dallas for the Ranger game in 2016. I don't know if it's still true. That arena is the only arena in sports that has a 7-Eleven in it. But like has a 7-Eleven when you're beyond, like you're in the arena already. You've gone past the turnstile because 7-Eleven's corporate is down in Dallas. I remember going into that arena being like, this is like the coolest thing ever. I could have a Coke Slurpee as I watched the Rangers. And they won that game.
Nice.
They won that game 3-2 on a Saturday afternoon. And I met Sam Rosen at that game. Yes. Very true story. That is it for us today. We thank the Bamboozle Project, as always, for their sponsorship, as well as DraftKings. We will most likely, we'll put up on our story at some point in the next week. We'll most likely be doing the preview show next week. So 10 a.m. next Wednesday, highly likely we're coming out with that. And Allie is confirming, yes, she got a Slurpee. So they obviously still have the 7-Eleven in that American Airlines arena down there. That arena. That's a cool little area, too. It's not at the level of like Midtown Manhattan, but I remember leaving the game and there were a bunch of outdoor bars. I mean, it's Dallas, right? So it's like warm all year pretty much. There was a bunch of outdoor bars. We ate at some really good pizza spots down there. That whole little area there was really cool. But these days I don't get to many road games. It's hard to get to the Garden as it is. Thank you guys for listening. Have a great rest of your week. Enjoy the preseason this week, and we will talk to you next week.